Brendan Rodgers has expressed his frustration at Celtic and his future is now up in the air with the club. We will cover this story in today's video, whilst of course going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours.
But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content.
Scotland take on their next fixture in their bid for automatic World Cup qualification, with Celtic duo Anthony Ralston and Kieran Tierney in the squad. The Celtic pair were both involved in the excellent win against Greece on Thursday night, helping Steve Clarke's side edge closer to their 2026 World Cup dream. However, it's not just the Celtic fullbacks who can influence qualification. Hoops icon Kasper Schmeichel can also play his part tonight. As Scotland prepare to face Belarus at Hampton in the 5 p.m. kickoff, Denmark, with Schmeichel in goal, host Greece at the Parken Stadion in Copenhagen. According to Scotland's coefficient, a draw in that match would hugely benefit Clarke's team. A draw in Denmark versus Greece is ideal, as it means if Scotland beat Belarus and Denmark at home, then we qualify for the World Cup automatically. Even if we lose 10-0 in Greece, it's decided on goal difference. So if Denmark win versus Greece, then those same results would likely mean we finish second. In short, Scotland needs Schmeichel's Denmark to take points off Greece to keep the qualification path in their own hands. The last Celtic players to feature in a World Cup. The last time Scotland reached the tournament was in France '98, when Craig Brown's side opened the competition with a narrow 2-1 defeat to Brazil. Amazingly, there were 10 Celtic players in the matchday squad that day. Starters: Tom Boyd, Paul Lambert, John Collins, Darren Jackson, Craig Burley. Substitutes: Jonathan Gould, Derek White, Tosh McKinlay, Jackie McNamara, Simon Donnelly. John Collins equalised from the penalty spot to cancel out Cesar Sampaio's opener, but an unfortunate own goal by Celtic hero Tom Boyd gave Brazil the win. Now, almost 3 decades later, another Celtic connection, Kasper Schmeichel, could indirectly help Scotland reach the world stage once more. Now for the main story, Brendan Rodgers remains frustrated at Celtic as speculation grows over his long-term future at the club. Sources told Football Insider that contract talks between Rodgers and Celtic collapsed due to conflicting views on the club's direction. One key source of frustration was the transfer policy, including the delayed signing of Sebastian Tinekti at the end of the summer window. The Northern Irishman wanted to build on the foundations of last season, but the board have not provided the level of backing he expected. According to Football Insider's Inside Track podcast, Rodgers is now adamant he will leave the Celts when his current deal expires at the end of the season. Talks over an extension have stalled, with little progress made, despite plans for further meetings. It was obvious during the last transfer window how frustrated Brendan Rodgers was with Celtic. They didn't spend as much as he wanted or bring in the players he needed to push the team to the next level, the report stated. A lot will come down to Celtic's ambition. If he doesn't feel backed or that the club is matching his expectations, he could be tempted away. Rodgers remains focused on guiding his team to consistency in the league and Europe, but insiders say growing uncertainty is creating massive concerns within the club hierarchy. Meanwhile, reports suggest Crystal Palace could move for Rodgers next summer, with current boss Oliver Glasner out of contract and uncertain to stay. If Glasner departs Selhurst Park, Rodgers is seen as a leading candidate to replace him, a move that would mark a major shift for both clubs. In other news, Scott Brown hilariously sent off during Celtic charity match, Dodgy Pen. The Celtic legends fell 2-1 to Feyenoord legends in Rotterdam, a lively tribute to Wim Jansen that ended with a late penalty and a flash of Bruni's famous bite. This Celtic outing was about respect and remembrance, with all proceeds going to the Dutch club's foundation and Jansen's legacy central to the afternoon. Scott Brown wore the armband for the boys and led a side featuring Giorgos Samaras, Artur Boruk and Stilian Petrov. 2 minutes from time came the decisive moment. A Feyenoord break drew a sliding challenge from Brown. The referee pointed to the spot, and the Hoops were staring at a Celtic-style grandstand finish. Bruni's response was classic. Words exchanged, a red card shown, and the game ending 2-1. Post-match, Brown didn't hold back. The referee had a shocker. "He's tried his best for you, didn't he?" he said, insisting he'd won the tackle and that the attacker was offside. For Celtic, the match was never about scorelines. It was about honouring Wim Jansen and celebrating two clubs forever linked by history. Brown called for a rematch, ideally at Celtic Park under the lights, with the supporters turning a tribute into a full-blown celebration. In other news, Liam Gallagher has officially become a grandfather for the first time, and it's all thanks to a former Celtic player. Molly Moorish Gallagher, Liam's 27-year-old daughter, announced the birth of her son Rudy via Instagram, sharing sweet snaps of the newborn alongside a sign reading, "We adore you." The father, none other than Nat Phillips, who spent 6 months on loan at Celtic in 2023. The former Liverpool defender, now playing for West Bromwich Albion, kept a low profile during his time in Glasgow, but is now making headlines for very different reasons. Liam Scales actually kept the Lone Star out of the side, which led to his breakthrough in Celtic colours. Months earlier, he was set for a Parkhead exit until injury crisis struck. It's a new chapter for both Phillips and Gallagher. The Oasis frontman, known for his rock star antics as much as his music, now finds himself with a grandson, just as Oasis enjoy a massive resurgence. The reunited band are currently on their Oasis Live 2025 tour, the biggest concert launch ever in the UK and Ireland, following their reunion after splitting dramatically in 2009. Next week, they'll take the tour to South Korea, although they'll be without longtime guitarist Bonehead, who is missing this leg of the tour. Lastly, there could be a fair few Celtic players having the summer off when the 2026 World Cup takes place. It's not where you want to be as a professional player, because there isn't anything bigger than playing at a World Cup, with the 2026 edition set to take place in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. But a few Celtic players are at risk of not making the final cut of their respective squads, or in Benjamin Nygren's case, his nation not even earning a golden ticket. That's because on Friday evening, Sweden, despite having star-studded names in attack and on the bench, suffered another blow in their hopes of reaching world football's biggest stage. There were over 50,000 supporters packed into the Strawberry Arena in Stockholm, and they weren't a happy bunch as Switzerland secured a 2-0 win against Sweden. Nygren can count himself lucky because he didn't have to suffer the verbal beating some players took, particularly his international manager, John Dahl Tomasson. Despite having Alexander Isak starting alongside Arsenal's big money purchase, Victor Gyökeres, not only did the Swedes lose, but they failed to score. There were boos and insults thrown at the manager, including a banner calling for his resignation, as Nygren watched on from the bench, powerless. You would probably think, why on earth did Nygren not come on the field?
What do you think of what we discussed in today's video? Let us know down in the comments section below. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.